I'm sitting there during one of these renovation projects and I'm just covered in drywall dust. I probably had like 5 cups of coffee at this point. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I am only trading my time for money.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind Their Success podcast. I'm Peyton Squires, the host, and today we have on Eric Burns. He is the founder of Flowers Capital. He is a Cincinnati-based commercial real estate investor and capital raiser. Passionate about multiple income streams, Eric uses his network to fund and operate successful projects for investors. Eric, welcome on Behind Their Success.
Hey, Peyton, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to talking to our entrepreneur friends out there.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. So tell us a little bit about what you do, right? You're in commercial real estate.
Yeah, so I actually am in commercial real estate. Started off in residential as a side hustle years ago. But my primary focus now is what I do is I raise money from investors and we place it with some really great operators all throughout the country to buy commercial real estate property. So we pool our funds together and go in and buy these, buy at scale and really take advantage of what commercial real estate has to offer.
Yeah. When you say commercial real estate, what is it? Just kind of any type of commercial real estate or anything you specialize in there?
So right now we're kind of dialed back and we do focus mainly on multifamily investments, a lot of them with the value add component. There are some other alternate investment asset classes that we'll get into, but given kind of how the market is right now, we've actually kind of dialed back and we are focused pretty much on multifamily. There's still really strong dynamics, demand drivers and economic drivers that are supporting multifamily coming up. So we're still pretty excited about that asset class. So we're sticking with it.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, as an investor and whatnot, right? You always got to let the market tell you what to do, right? How do you source deals or what's your process there of even like underwriting deals or, I mean, just high level, of course.
hmm Yeah. So when I first got into commercial, I was coming out of residential. And what I found was I had gone in, it was, I think, 2014, I bought my first rental property. And it was just, it just made sense. And it was really just a side hustle. All my side hustles before that hadn't panned out. I was working as a Cincinnati fireman. I retired after 17 years and had always done the side hustle. And so I had gone from being a single family landlord and I moved into flipping, basically renovating duplexes. I'd flip them to myself and hold them for long-term rental properties. And it was like, I'm sitting there during one of these renovation projects and I'm just covered in drywall dust. I probably had like 5 cups of coffee at this point. And I'm sitting there thinking like, I am only trading my time for money.
Yep.
And that is really what hit me. And so I started leaning into commercial. And so from there, I started looking and I started sourcing my own deals. I talked to brokers and I found deals and I was putting together general partnership and all this sort of stuff. And then I look around and I have this network of really great operators and I was needing to raise money for my own deals. But then I have all these operators that are saying, hey, why don't you partner with us? We'd love to have you raise capital for our deals. And I'm like, well, your deals are better. You're in better markets. Like, of course, I'll do that. So it was just a natural transition. It made sense. It made a lot more sense to leverage my network of these great operators. So that's really how we source our deals now is it goes from who the operator is, then we'll look at the market, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll go to the deal. So really most of the deals I source now are from a handful of really trusted operators that just really great systems. They're vertically integrated and they're established in these prime markets. Like we just closed a deal in Phoenix that we're super excited about.
You talked about earlier about when you were in flipping single family stuff. And that I started my real estate investing career or whatever you would call it in 2016, kind of doing the same thing. Now I haven't taken to the level that you have. I've kind of dabbled in a lot of different things, but you talked about earlier, the single family flips and you are just trading your time, right? It's like, it's a constant hunt and this constant, you've got to find this deal to be able to have work to do, to be able to flip and take this money. But I have a good buddy that's in the multi-family space like you are now at a very high level. And that's what he did. I mean, he flipped over 2,000 houses, he's only in his mid 30s. And after flipping over 2,000 houses, he's like, man, I'm stupid. Why am I doing this? Right. It's like, because I keep doing all these little deals where you could step back and you really learn the multi-family space. And it's like, okay, oh, this is a way better leverage for me.
hmm Oh, leveraging time. That's a perfect way that's a perfect point to hit on is just, and I actually wrote an article kind of just exploring that idea of is, for me going in and I certainly don't regret my time in residential or
Well,
any
you
path
learned
I've taken.
unreal amounts, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, the hands-on learning experience was invaluable, and I rely on it every day now, but for someone that doesn't want to go down and make it a full-time profession, going passive at 50 grand for, $50,000 can buy you a really nice cash flowing rental property, or it can buy you a passive investment in a syndication and a multifamily. And the big difference there is for me, like right now, to go in and to buy a residential rental property, I would be buying a job for
Yeah,
$50,000.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So,
that was
yeah, so landlording is definitely a full-time job, and it's never like you get a call for a broken doorknob that's convenient. You're always in Florida or something, or you're always out of town or something, and it's like and
yeah.
then that doorknob, by the time you, like, go to Home Depot and fix it, it's like 2 hours of your day because you can't get in and out of Home Depot in less than an hour and a half anyway. So the 10-minute doorknob fix takes 2 hours, and you're going, "What did I just do with my whole day?" Like,
Yeah. For me, I sold off a lot of my single family stuff in 2021, kind of taking advantage of the market there. And also it was that it was, I didn't want to be a landlord. I was now, 45 minutes or so away from all my houses. I had moved. And stupidly enough, I was the guy managing everything. And you're right. And so I'm also an accountant those calls and text and whatever would only come in the middle of tax season. I had zero time to do anything. Right?
ever a day where you're looking for something to do, or is it a day where you have too much?
And, you're right. And I have, I own a whole lot less real estate personally, directly. And I've done some syndicate deals or, investing in, private deals or, limited partner deals. Nobody calls me to get kind of my money shows up in my bank account and I don't have to do anything. And for me, that sounds,
Yeah, yeah, and that's what it is for why I love the product and why I love commercial real estate so much is that it really is a really passive way to earn income. And for those of us looking to really get back financial freedom in our time to reallocate to the things that matter more than, going to work 9 to 5, it's such a powerful vehicle to tap into.
yeah,
And I think a lot of people it can be overwhelming at first, and that's kind of one of the things I enjoy about Flowers Capital is the educational aspect of it is kind of getting people up to date and saying, "Hey, here's it's really not as overwhelming." There's some SEC regulations and things like that that can be like, "Oh my gosh, what are we doing?" But really, it's just the SEC looking out for all of us, so we're remaining compliant, which is good. So, aside from a couple of these little caveats, is really not as hard to get into as people think. And I think that being able to just kind of help people get the learning curve going there and really getting people on the same page and realizing how accessible it really can be for just an everyday investor.
I'm a tax accountant and, we talk to our clients all the time about real estate, and the tax advantages and the intricacies of all that and are able to, qualify as a real estate professional or there's lots of different caveats in the tax code, but real estate can be a very, very efficient way to grow your wealth. Now it's got to
Mhm.
be, you know, I'm also a licensed financial advisor. So, obviously I'm not giving anybody financial advice. Everybody
Mhm.
needs to,
Nor am
um,
I.
everybody needs to do what's, obviously right for their specific situation, but real estate very well could be a piece.
Taxes and stuff like that. It's like icing on the cake.
Mhm.
Not only do you get money showing up in your account quarterly, then you get a nice little kickback at tax time too. And especially now we're all kind of looking into our taxes. We're going, man, it would be nice to pay the tax man a little less, wouldn't it? So,
Yeah, and like I said, if there's certain ways you can qualify and structure your stuff. I mean, there's things like, cost segregations that you can do on property. And if you're doing real estate at a high level, you can really manipulate your income from year to year. You know what you're doing when it comes to taxes, right?
yeah. And then the power of compounding too, when you are passive is that you're not using up your time, so you're able to reinvest and reallocate, and the numbers that they compound, and compounding's a powerful thing, as we know, and they add up quick. So it's a neat product, and I'm really excited because actually I was a finance major, and before I went to the fire department, and I always was kind of looking at what it would look like to have a company and things like that. And so as I'm doing these side hustles, I was, I'm just kind of glad I landed where I did because I went to work at a mortgage broker and I was selling a product that I didn't believe in. It was like hard selling and it
Yeah.
wasn't for me.
That's
And now I have a product that I'm passionate about because I know how beneficial it is. And I get excited to talk to people about it. So I don't have to like hard sell. So it's so like coming on shows and talking about commercial real estate's exciting because it's like, hey guys, like this is a great thing for all of us. Like, let's learn a little bit more. So having a product that I believe in is really fun.
Yeah, that's huge. If anybody, any listeners and they're out in sales, you're going to be a terrible salesperson if you're selling something you don't believe
Mhm.
in. Or at least I say
Definitely.
you may still be able to produce, but like it's certainly not going to be anywhere near your potential, right?
No, and and it's like, is it really selling if you're having a conversation about a potential investment with a smile
Yeah.
on your face? No, you're just having a conversation and yeah,
Yeah.
it's just been fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, the same way I found that in my space where really, I do a lot of really kind of high level tax planning for people where I come in. It's like, hey, I can save you X number of dollars. I just lay it out there. It's like, hey, you want to do it? There's no sale, no nothing really. It's just
Exactly.
people having conversations like, I think I found you some value here.
Exactly, yeah, present bringing value to the table is fun, it's energizing, so I'm definitely glad where I landed, yeah.
Are you looking for a new tax experience? Looking for an advisor that actually brings you high level ideas and proactively plans so you aren't overpaying your taxes? Or how about one that even just responds and communicates in a timely fashion? If any of that resonates with you, you probably just have a tax preparer and not a tax planner. And it is through the tax planning process where all the value is found. I'm Peyton Squires. I'm a CPA and owner of WR Tax Planners. We work alongside entrepreneurs and high-income earners, helping them pay the least amount of income taxes, both legally and ethically. We have saved our clients hundreds of thousands of dollars through specific strategies, and we guarantee we can find multiple tax saving strategies that your current tax preparer hasn't figured out. If that interests you, head on over to the contact page at PeytonSquires.com. There you can fill out a contact form and get a call booked to see what it would look like to have WR Tax Planners on your team.
So, Eric, turning down the conversation back to you a little bit. So you said you started out as finance major, was a firefighter for, what'd you say, 17 years or something?
17 years, I retired as
Wow.
a lieutenant, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Looking back, over your career and kind of your journey to where you got to today, how would you define success today versus how you may have defined it, say the day you retired as a firefighter?
So I think success today is more centered around fulfillment and impact. Living my days that are fulfilling to me and am I impacting the people that I and my family and other people in the community. So when I first graduated from high school, I definitely had the mentality that you go to college, you get a good job, and then you do the 9 to 5, retire with your 401 type of
You
thing.
do that for 40 years.
Yeah, yeah. And so when I landed at the fire department, it was just my first big pivot. And the whole story is just doing the next thing that makes the most sense to me. And so that was my first move. And to look back and every time I've done something like that, the growth I've experienced has been so invaluable. And I use the fire department as an example because I always kind of joke. I was 25 when I got hired, and I wasn't a very mature 25-year-old. And
Most guys aren't.
yeah, yeah. I'm surrounded with these guys that really built into me character traits that matter, holding myself accountable, integrity, things like that. Being able to, we count on each other. So
Lives are, in each other's hands, right?
yeah, it's a high stakes game out there. And so they really built into me these attributes that I value so much today. So I just did that first pivot. And then I was doing a side hustle thing because I always had that itch to start my own company and I didn't know what it would look like and I didn't know what it would be. And the side hustles weren't panning out. So when I did my next jump into real estate, it was just because it made sense. And so I get this rental property and my grandpa, and I actually named the company after him, Sheldon Flowers. I had to sit down there in front of him. He was just a traditional business guy, World War II type of guy, and came from a farm in Kansas. And so, and I remember sitting in front of him and explaining to him why I thought this is a good idea to buy a rental property. And I knew the numbers kind of on the, the napkin or, the back of that.
Mhm.
Oh, it makes sense. Like, here's what expenses will be, and here's like what I expect vacancies will be. And with
Yeah.
single family housing, it was a good predictable vacancy kind of situation. So when I did that, I got the keys and then I realized like I hadn't really thought about the like renting it up and being a landlord. I just
Yeah.
knew I knew how to build things because I had done some renovation work. So I knew how to build things. I did projects. I worked with my schedule and I went for it. And so that pivot led me into this building this skill set in real estate. And I was buying really well, so that gave me some wiggle room while I learned, but, and it paid off really well when I got rid of top of market as well. I ended
Yeah.
up getting rid of them at the top of the market, so
Yeah, a couple one key point I want to kind of circle back you made there, Eric, was you said, "I just always did whatever the next step, or the next best step, whatever made sense to me at
Mhm.
the time."
Yeah.
And I think that's a very good mindset, right? It's so hard to plan out. I really don't do any strategic planning or anything longer than like 90 days. I mean, I have my big vision of where we're going, but tactically, 90 days, the world changes so fast that trying to make a plan for longer than 90 days, but by the time you get there, like none of those things will work. It is so key that like every day you're just, you're moving in the right direction and you're just evaluating, okay, is this still the direct, are these still the same steps I need to do? Am I still heading, to my ultimate goal?
Exactly. And a lot of our friends out there know it's kinda like, as an entrepreneur, you are kinda staying out over your skis a little bit, and you're uncomfortable a lot of the times because you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and then you look back and go, "Whoa, I had no business buying that rental property."
Yeah. You're like, they gave
I
it to me.
still but, but what I learned from that was just, it's just amazing that, like, by doing the next right thing and staying a little uncomfortable and just kind of seeing what kind of opportunities I can create for myself, the amount of growth and the amount of education I've gotten from that has been just paid itself back a zillion times over.
Yeah, yeah, and that experience, I've talked about it on the show several times. Alex Hermosi talks about debt of ignorance, and that we all have to pay down our debt of ignorance, and that's paid down through money by like buying courses or just time with experience. But one way or another, you had to pay down your debt because you didn't know how to make money in real estate,
No,
and
no,
how to do
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And
It's a lot of business in general is
mhm,
figuring it out. And I know I'm a big proponent of communities, masterminds, and just
same here.
community in general. And the way I paid down my debt has been leaning into groups of people like that and being humble enough to ask dumb questions. And if you're not in a community right now, like I feel like it's definitely worth looking into because when I found my community, I realized I was in a spot where I could ask dumb questions, but I was with people that didn't make me feel dumb for asking
Yeah,
them. Be humble enough to ask and then be with people that are going to make you feel supported when they answer your questions. And then you've kind of found your tribe. And from there, it's like you just can absorb so much from others like us doing the same thing, in any industry. And I like our niche as well too, where it's very collaborative. So I've had a lot of success leaning into others doing the same thing, doing the kind of the same path, just figuring it out together. So that's kind of where my pivots have taken me is always into something new and into some new form of growth.
yeah, that's great. The mastermind stuff, same here. That's been life changing for me. I've been in a mastermind group for, I don't know, 2.5 years. And it was, I've been in different networking groups and whatnot, but this was a lot higher level and the quality of people in there and what they were doing in their own personal lives and their own businesses and stuff. It was really intimidating first, right? I was like you said, when you bought your first commercial real estate property, you're probably like, oh my God, what did I just do? And that's kind of how I felt like when I came in the room first time.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm in this room with these people. It's like, whoa, they know what's going on. I don't.
Yeah, and I'm just
Or I've
stupid.
got this rental property now. I got this commercial property. It's like, this is more zeros than I'm used to. but but you just gotta lean in and make pick up the slack and just educate, read, and just kind of just pick up the slack where in and it's just like your growth just is so much faster.
The other part of that, Eric, is humans are extremely adaptable. once, you bought your first commercial real estate property and it was a huge deal to you, right? Like scary, this big, massive thing. Like, how would you feel about buying that property today? Like, wouldn't be a big deal, right?
No, no, yeah, it'd be a lot more comfortable because I would be so much more better at evaluating markets and so much
Yeah.
more better. And I've had the experience of underwriting hundreds of deals and things like that and looking at spreadsheets all those hours. And, a lot of that experience came after that. So it's kind of like, yeah, that would be easier. But what about the next one that I buy that might be a 300 unit rather than a 150 unit? The same thing. It's like, oh, wait, we're back to more zeros and really just kind of just stepping in. We're entrepreneurs. We'll figure it out. It's just a matter of really being able to just comfortably put yourself out there and circling back, being surrounded with the right people makes that so much easier.
Yeah.
So much more.
Yeah. If you're trying to do anything significant in isolation, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle with that. Like you said, it's that humility piece of entering into like a mastermind group or, listeners that are interested in real estate. I mean, there's a million of them there, a million of real estate groups that, obviously you need to vet groups and make sure it's the right people you be with. But like that, once again, allows you to skip so many steps, right? And it allows you to pay down that debt of ignorance so much faster because you get in a group like that and you have good people in it that, want to just share with you, you're going to get so much unreal value and, maybe jump 5 years in the future by being able to learn stuff from.
Exactly. And lessons you're learning aren't as painful when you're with other people.
Yeah. You don't have to run into a wall.
When you're out there by yourself and you're just beating your head against the wall, it's painful. It hurts. You're going, why is this not working for me? Why is this not working for me? When you're in community, people go, oh, no, you're beating your head against the wall. Like, this is we need to be together. This is why we're here together because we all beat our heads against the wall and you're doing the right things and that encouragement and just having someone a sounding board or the support makes it just so much more fun, but it's so much less painful, so much less lonely too. Because entrepreneurs, like we get each other, but no one else really does. Like care about us the most. You're going, what are you doing? Like, why are you subjecting yourself to this? And you're going, well, you don't understand. You don't understand like what the end looks like. And when we're in community with each other, that's what the big difference is we understand like, yeah, we have goals that it's almost an obligation at some point when you embrace like what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Whoa, I have the potential to make a serious impact to other people. And it's almost an obligation to do it. And when you cross that threshold, you're kind of going, glad I got my people to lean on.
Yeah, that's a great point. To where, you say you've kind of taken on that, that new even level of responsibility, or maybe even call it like the identity of like you've taken on that identity of that type of person. And it's amazing, about your own identity. We all have our own identities and link it up to all kinds of different stuff, say like sports teams. A lot of people link their their identity up to the favorite sport team.
Guilty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, same here. I'm not, no judgment. Same here.
Yeah, it's not going well for us in Cincinnati.
Well, I do enjoy my Chiefs beating you guys down every year. So.
Oh gosh, you had to. You couldn't resist.
So I'm in Central Missouri. So yeah, absolutely. But like, it's amazing that you can really choose whatever identity you want. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when you choose that, and that really becomes your everyday operating system, your behavior will change to fit in with that new identity. I don't think people really realize that everything in their head is made up, right? Literally, their future is made up. Their past is made up. We think our past is this objective thing of all this stuff that occurred, but not really. Our memories are terrible. And almost all of our memories are really, they're not even close to what actually even happened. And so really the only thing you have is the here and now. And to be able to operate in the here and now and being present, it's really all of life.
Yeah, and it's such a great point that it's like it matters a lot when you're out there when you're out there as an entrepreneur, but in life in general, you're like, I learned I really can't trust any thought I have, and I certainly can't trust any emotion I have.
Yeah, your feelings are screwing you.
Yeah. So to be able to like really dial in and stay focused on your true north and say, hey, here's my end game. What do I need to do today to get my 6-month goal? But what do I need to do today to just move the needle in that direction? and sometimes just dial back down to that one, that one day at a time type mentality. But yeah, definitely, I can't go through like thinking every thought I have is accurate for sure.
I would say two major issues I see with most entrepreneurs is spend all their time on the wrong things. They're insanely busy. They're going around, but they're spending all their time on low leverage activities, right? They think they're busy and they got to do all these tasks. And yes, all these tasks need to be done, but for them to get any more successful, they need to figure out how to leverage themselves better or get rid of those tasks. Do the whole 80-20 thing, right? Is always getting rid of stuff you don't need.
Hell writes a good book, Buy Back Your Time. And for those who haven't read it out there in the audience, it's worth a read. It's about basically delegating all your low priority, but all your tasks that aren't in your purpose or aren't in your wheelhouse, really, the more you can get that out of your plate and off to a VA or something, or anything like that, but to stay in where you're most effective. A lot of us are more like visionary and things like that. So to stay in that space is where you're going to get more traction rather than answering emails for 3 hours a day. Gets you no traction, but it tricks you into thinking you've been productive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're busy. Oh man, I got all that done off my plate. I had a productive day. And it's like, well, you didn't really move the needle in the direction you wanted because you were tricking yourself. And
Yeah.
I do that to myself all the time.
Yeah, I'm guilty as can be, and I feel like I'm just starting to even, I guess intellectually I've known this stuff, but now I really feel like, okay, now I'm actually starting to understand this, and by that I mean like actually start to execute on it. Right. I don't think you really understand something if you just like get information and never do anything with it.
Yeah, and
It's implementation, right? And what I'm super excited about is I hired my first executive assistant. And he's amazing. And I'm trying to get him ramped up and give everything I can to him. And here's the thing is I keep growing and doing, working on my 80-20 and focusing just on the 20 over and over again. Well, eventually my executive assistant might have assistant. And the thing is, I hired a high enough level executive assistant that he could then go hire people and manage them. And ultimately, right. It's building out. It's using, I don't say using other people, but it is right. And it's using other people's time and talents to help you. Right. Because, Gabe, my executive assistant, is amazing at organizing and research and all these different things that are a drag to me, but he's really good at it. So we both get to set in our genius zones and are happy about it, doing stuff that we like to do. And by us coming together, we produce something even, way more effective than we would want.
Yeah. And like a lot of the things I'll send to my VA Mark, he does a fabulous job and he does his stuff. He does it so well and he does it so fast. So not only is he getting to work on things that he likes to do and he does them really well, these are things that I don't do well at all. So what is taking him an hour would take me a day or two.
Yeah. And you'd hate it.
and he can do it in just an hour or two. And I'm going, wait, this is 1,000 times better than what I could ever put together, especially the graphic design stuff. And I like that sort of stuff, but I'm just not good at it. So when it's like, I can sit and play and like do Canva work for 3 days straight. And then I'll send it to him like, hey, what do you think? And he's like, oh, I made some tweaks. And I'm going, oh my God, like this is 1,000 times better than anything I could have ever done. Why did I just spend 3 days doing it? Well, it's because I was procrastinating because I was having fun doing it.
You're avoiding something else, probably.
Something else like seen on social or something like I don't like doing that much. But
yeah, that's really good stuff. Yeah. Another question for you, Eric. Going back to the start, say you bought your first commercial property that day. What is one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
Man, do it. Go for it. Just go for it. If that's your next right move, buying a rental property, go for it. If you're ready to get passive and you think that commercial real estate might be a little overwhelming, go for it. If you think that there's this business that you had burning in your heart that is within your passion and it's in your wheelhouse and you just don't know how you'll pull it off, go for it because you will pull it off. You just don't know how yet. And just go for it. Get out there and do it and do life and take that bucket list trip that you don't, book it, even though you don't know how you'll pay for it quite yet. That sort of stuff. Just get out there and do it, I think is going to be my advice. And easy to say, oh, well, I wish I would have gone into passive investing sooner. And that is
Well, sure.
not true. because what I've gained from my journey has been so much more valuable, and it's led me to where I'm at now. And so I don't ever second guess things like that. So I think my advice would be definitely just go for it. Like if you're worried about Eric, just do it anyways. But doing it regardless. So just do it now.
And, Eric, I think that's a lot of great advice for a lot of entrepreneurs and I think that was the advice I needed. I started my business, 11 years ago. I was just playing too small, or I guess I didn't even know I didn't even have an accurate picture of what it was even possible. It took me years and years of experience and letting go of things for some reason, very slowly. Uh, um, and able to, yeah, let go and go for things and hire employees and expand and invest into different things and take on, some level of risk. The amazing thing you talk about risk can be controlled if you are educated and you really know what you're doing. That's how you kind of control risk. And like in real estate, that's certainly something you can do. But yeah, just take a chance, bet on yourself. It's amazing when you keep doing that. And it's not going to be a smooth road, but if you keep doing that for a long time period, you're going to change dramatically.
Yeah. And one thing that actually kind of put that in perspective for me too is a couple of years ago I read a book by Be Your Future Self Now. I think
No,
Hardy.
Ben Hardy. Yeah, I love his and Dan Sullivan stuff.
Man, yeah, that was a great book. And to put it in perspective, if you're setting a 10-year goal, make it outrageous because your 5-year self is going to be so much more capable than your now self.
Mhm.
You're probably going to need to make a bigger one in 5 years anyway. But when I started thinking that big picture like that and big goals like that, it put it in perspective. So to say, oh, okay, well, yeah, like when that's the end game and you kind of like embrace that idea, then all of a sudden your now problem just seems almost a little more logistical, not as
Yeah.
overwhelming so much as just a step in the journey, a step in the right direction, rather than saying like, oh, well, what if it fails? And it's going, well, I need to figure this out because I've got bigger places to go. And that was it's a really kind of a perspective shift I had when I
Yeah.
set goals like that.
Yeah. And I think, the problem today is just the problem that needs solved today. Right.
Mhm.
And it's being okay with the process and the struggle and accepting the boring daily stuff that, that has to be done, that is just keep those little, you're gaining inches every day. And then it's amazing enough what that adds up to. And over, 5 years, 10 years, 10 years is insane. I mean, I want every listener here to think about yourself 10 years. So it'd be, say, 2015. Think about that person, all the stuff that person believed and did. If you're not like somewhat embarrassed from that person, you're probably not growing enough.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's such a good point. And yeah, again, in perspective, like, yeah, that was about when I was buying that first rental property and like, had I ever thought I would landed where I am now when I did that? No, I thought I was just gonna have like a really good side hustle going now,
Yeah, yeah,
financial freedom magically and all this stuff. And it's like, man, I kind of laugh at myself back then because it's like you were foolishly confident in yours. You were unjustly confident in yourself enough to
it worked out. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
just stay
And
confident in yourself. And it's probably unfounded when you're first getting started, but it's really not. You'll live up to your own expectations.
Yeah, and here's the even scary thing to think about. 10 years from now, you're going to think the same thing about yourself today.
Definitely, isn't it?
So what do you believe now that isn't true? That like 10 years from now, you're like, oh, that was there's lots of that stuff in your life.
Mhm.
And that's why your humility needs to be there, and your openness, your curiosity, question asking. Do all those things. 10 years from now, you will look back at yourself today. Like, wow, that guy, he was on his way, but man, he was missing, X, Y, and Z, these pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it has.
Well, you mentioned the daily stuff, and that is actually one area that I could do much better in is remembering that it's just the daily habits, the daily routines, the daily KPIs that really matter more than, what's my next big move? Well, my next big move is going to come from all my small moves I'm doing today. So I just wanted to reiterate that point that I loved you made, Peyton. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great stuff, Eric. Eric, man, this has been a great conversation. It's the best way people can connect with you or get to know about you or your company or anything like that.
Yeah, I always send people, aside from LinkedIn, I always send people to flowerscapital.com. It's actually a free download. It's just a quick article I wrote on 12 of the pitfalls you can avoid if you're looking into commercial real estate, some underwriting things, and get people ready for that first investment or first of many investments, or, maybe they just want to brush up on some underwriting. So yeah, go ahead, grab that free ebook.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Eric, anything else you want to leave the listeners?
No, Peyton, I've had such a great time. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been fun.
Absolutely, Eric. I appreciate you, man. And yeah, guys, check out Eric Burns on LinkedIn or, flowerscapital.com. And guys, we will catch you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you found it valuable, please rate, review, and share it. That is the best way to help us build this and reach more people, as we're trying to accomplish our goal of help creating more healthy, wealthy, and wise entrepreneurs. You can follow us on social media by searching for me, Peyton Squires, or going to PeytonSquires.com. On the website and social media, we're always sharing tips of personal growth, and there we can actually interact. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.